everyone, welcome back to A Bookish Heart with Shauna. I'm so excited. I'm going to be doing a tag today. It is the Midyear book freakout tag. I wasn't tagged by anyone, but I found it on YouTube and I wanted to do it. It looks like fun. I know it's almost the end of July, so technically the year is more than half over, but I'm sorry I'm doing this late. I still wanted to do it. So I'm going to be doing this tag every year. I really like it. It's basically to recap the first half of the year. Let's just get into it. The first one says the best book you've read so far in 2019. That for me, that was a hard one, but it would have to be Six of Crows. I don't have a copy here of Six of Crows to show you. I actually ordered it online from Book Depository, but it hasn't come in yet. But yeah, Six of Crows, oh my god, when I read it, it was so good. One of my new favorites, so I'd have to say that one. The second question was the best sequel that you've read in 2019, which was hard for me, not much choice. I only read 2 sequels this year, which was Legendary, the sequel to Caraval, and Crooked Kingdom, the sequel to Six of Crows. I actually really liked Legendary and Finale, the whole series, but I would have to say my favorite sequel of 2019 so far is Crooked Kingdom. It's so good. It's almost better, or just as good, if not better, than Six of Crows, and it's amazing. The third one was which newly released book have you wanted to read but not read yet? And that was hard for me. I wasn't really aware of which books have been newly released. I haven't been following that. So I had to go on Google and search some newly released books, and there was a couple that I actually am really interested in. And that would be 3 books that newly came out that I wanted to read, which first one is Dark Age by Pierce Brown. It's in the Red Rising series, which I've read most of. I think I've read most or all of the Red Rising books so far, so I'd like to read that one. The second one is The Raven Tower by Anne Leckie. I hadn't heard of this one before, but it sounds really interesting. It's a YA fantasy, I think. And the next one is Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. And that one sounds interesting also. It's like set in a fictional Africa. And there's some magic and spies, I guess. It sounds really interesting, so I'd like to read those 3. Number 4 is the most anticipated read for the second half of the year. And that was also hard for me, but I would have to choose a tie, either Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo or The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstein, the author of The Night Circus, which I loved. So I can't wait to read her next book, and yeah. Number 5 is The Biggest Disappointment. That was hard for me. None of the books were overly disappointing to me, but I would have to say The Gown. I'm very sorry to this author. I actually met her, and she came to the library in my small town, and she's Canadian. And she's a very nice person and down to earth. The concept of the story was really interesting. I really wanted to like it, but it just wasn't what I expected, and it was a little disappointing. I read that book back, I think, in January or February, so it's been a while, so I can't remember specifics. But yeah, the biggest surprise, which is number 6, I would say Raven Boys. I saw that recommended by Thoughts on Tomes, I think, on YouTube, and a couple other people, the YouTube channels that I watched, they had said they loved this book. The cover didn't really appeal to me. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'll like this book. I wasn't really that sure about it. It was a small book, and I read it, and I was blown away. It was so good. Each page was so captivating. It had so many interesting characters and so many interesting plot twists and side stories, and I was surprised. I absolutely loved it. And I cannot wait to read more books in that series. The next tag is number 7, your favorite new author, either a debut author or new to you author. A new to me author would be Leigh Bardugo. I read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. They were the first 2 books I read this year, so probably in January. When I track my books on Goodreads, I don't put the date that I finished it, but they are in order, so I'm assuming it was in January. Now I want to read all her books, so she's become one of my new go-to favorite authors. The next one, number 8, was favorite fictional crush. When I was watching videos of this tag, almost everybody that I watched doing this tag on YouTube said, "Oh, I don't have crushes on book characters." I'm sorry, but I do. I mean, you might just call me a romantic, but I'm like, how can people not have a crush on them? They're like so amazing. Okay, my newest, pretty much my only fictional crush would be, the newest one would be Jax from the Caraval series. Jax is my baby. Come on. And I also kind of have a crush on Kaz Brekker. He's just amazing and to die for. Which also leads into tag number 9. Who's your newest favorite fictional character? Which would be hands down Kaz Brekker. And Dirty Hands from the Six of Crows duology. I just love him, everything about him. I love how he's an anti-hero. How twisted he is. The next one is a book that made you cry. None of the books I read this year, as far as I can remember, made me cry, so I'll have to skip that one. Number 11 was also hard for me, a book that made you happy. There's several books that I've read that made me happy, so it was hard to pick one. And I've read a lot of depressing books lately, like I read Coraline by Neil Gaiman, which I saw the movie of, but that is not a happy book. Like, Coraline, I really enjoyed it, but it did not make me happy. Same with another book I just read by Stephen King, that did not make me happy. The Importance of Being Earnest, I mean, it's a classic by Oscar Wilde. It was funny and entertaining, but it didn't make me happy. So this was hard for me. I would say, obviously the Six of Crows duology made me happy. That's pretty much it. I don't know what to say for that one. And the next one, the most beautiful book you've bought or received in 2019, that is Wicked Saint. The original cover is white. This is the Owl Crate cover. It's red. I love it. This spine is amazing. I've never seen such a decorative spine that I loved looking at so much. This book is just beautiful. Like, look at that, all the patterns. Like, this book is hands down the most beautiful book of the year. There's even designs like at the beginning of each chapter. Even if I take the dust jacket off, underneath it says "Let them fear her," and it still looks beautiful. So yeah. The last one, number 13, says, "What do you need to read?" There's nothing really that I need to read. I just kind of go by what do I feel like in the moment. Like, I don't really have any books that I'm like, oh my god, I need to read that. I guess one would be the book that I have right now from the library, which came out in 2018, so I don't know if I can count it, but it is one that I definitely need to read right now this year. And that is, sorry, there's a library paper over it, but it is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. My library didn't have it, so they had to order it in. That's what that paper's about. And I've heard so many good things about this, and I've been wanting to read it, and I'm excited that it finally came in, so I guess I'm gonna say I have to read this one after I finish the other book I'm reading right now. Yeah, that was fun, and thanks for doing this tag with me. If you have any suggestions of any books I should read, any tags I should do, hit me up. I'm always waiting for comments. Yeah, so far I've read 19 books, according to my Goodreads reading challenge. In 2019 so far, it says I'm 3 books ahead of schedule for my goal, so that's nice. And there hasn't been any horrible books that I've read this year, and there's been a few really good ones. A few, I would say, about 3 or 4 5-star reads. And the rest were, I liked them, but they were mediocre. So, hoping to read some really amazing books soon, and hoping the second half of the year will be even better. Take care, everyone. Thanks.
That's all, folks.